The sports pages have long been profit centers for newspapers, which is why sports desks have generally been spared the worst of newsroom cuts. But now, one major newspaper is saying it's time to cut back on how it covers every sports game.
Cleveland baseball fans who missed a road game in seasons past could pick up the Plain Dealer for full coverage. But starting this season, the paper is no longer sending beat reporters to every Indians road game, like this one in Tampa Bay.
That's got Carey and will get out of here.
The move is reportedly to cut costs. But the question now, will readers notice?
Rick Porcello gets the nod.
Maybe, maybe not. Sports coverage is ubiquitous, from cable to radio to online. And the Plain Dealer still offers plenty of baseball coverage. But if it comes between sending a reporter to cover the Cleveland Indians or Cleveland City Hall, I'll pick the latter.
Well, I noticed from that video that reporters weren't the only ones not at that game.
Yeah, right.
The interesting thing is that this was caught by the Cleveland version of the Boston Business Journal, and it was a business newspaper out there that said, hey, wait a second, I don't see the bylines on these away games. So they called up the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and sure enough, and I mean, they didn't announce it to the readers. So the big question is, will the readers notice it? I mean, you know, we've talked about this before in terms of being in the locker room. Do you get that kind of, you get a whole different kind of ambience and different feel? But I mean, if you're just doing game coverage, do you really need to be there?
Well, you know, I think you need to be there because if you consider baseball to be an important beat for your paper, you need to develop relationships over a long period of time. And if you're not there, you can't just parachute in and expect to do the kind of job you would if you're there day to day. So I thought this was really kind of an unfortunate move. I mean, sports is big for any newspaper, and they may not be able to do a direct return on investment calculation, but it just seems to me that this is a big enough thing that they
said
ought to be.
They will look at it game by game, and if the
game.
Indians start doing really well, they'll send them.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, how come you're not at the first one? I'm not
I
even
know what
somebody
you mean,
who's reading sports, but to me, you be at the first one.
Yeah, right.
And then I'm assuming, you sports people can answer this, that you're doing more than just covering the game if you're on the road.
Right.
That's what I would expect as a reader.
I think it's worth noting that the Plain Dealer is owned by Advance Publications, which is on the cutting edge of cutting newspaper. You know, I mean, they are the owners of the Times-Picayune, where I used to work long ago, which they cut down to, you know, I think 3 or 4 print days a week, which was actually a little bit disastrous because it kind of sparked a newspaper war in New Orleans. I mean, they are experimenting with things to cut. You can understand why this is sort of a cost center. I mean, even, you know, sports writers' expense accounts used to be the stuff of legend. Perhaps they still are. So I can understand the cost issue here, but I agree with Dan. You know, there's also, when you're at a game, you're getting more than just what's happening on the field that you can see on TV. There's a whole atmospheric element. Getting a beer, what's happening in the clubhouse, if you can get in.
I mean, look, we all bow before the imperatives of the budget and the accounting department. I'm not sure I agree with you, Dan, that you need to be there every day to cover the totality of the story. I'm not at the State House every day by any means, but I still feel like I can report intelligently on things that go on there. You risk that you miss the dynamic in the clubhouse that is the sort of a telling moment because you weren't there. What I'd rather see than a commitment to having a body at every game is the commitment of those bodies to report honestly and contemporaneously on what's going on. I'm sick of following the Red Sox all year and only reading after the season in the postmortem about all the dysfunction that was going on during the year. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. Some reporters are very good about coming right out with it, but all too often, it's like, well, why didn't I hear about this in July?
They didn't want to
when it
offend
mattered?
anybody.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the other thing is, I don't think any of us understand the Cleveland market, thank God. But, you know, you couldn't get away with that in Boston.
No, that would not happen.
It would not happen.
Well, but then the stands would be full. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
well, that was Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
but still.
yeah,
it was bad.